All right, let's open up a case file on a myth so terrifying it has haunted the winter skies for centuries. Time to begin our investigation. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to look at who's leading this ghostly chase, what it's made of, and, the big question, why has this story galloped through human history for so long? Our story starts with a lone traveler stuck in the dead of winter who sees something in the sky, an omen. Just picture it. You're all alone out there, freezing. And suddenly, the storm clouds themselves just seem to rip open with a sound of pounding hooves. This isn't just weather, you guys. This is something alive. And leading this whole terrifying procession, it's none other than the Norse god Odin. He's wrapped in this dark, shadowed cloak, and he isn't just a king up there. He's a spectral guide, leading the restless dead on this endless chase through the heavens. So seeing this hunt wasn't just some weird light show in the sky. Oh no, it was a terrifying sign that something awful was coming. Plague, war, you name it. The old wisdom said the only thing you could do was hit the deck, press your face into the cold ground, and just pray you didn't get swept up into that chase. Okay, so if Odin is our main guy here, what was his motive? What was this supernatural pursuit all about? Let's dissect the hunt. So, who exactly was Odin after? Well, this wasn't some random chase for sport. He was specifically going after the souls of people who broke society's biggest rules. The wicked, the traitors, people who died as cowards or went back on their word. And get this, Odin didn't ride alone. His two ravens, Hugin and Munin, were like his scouts, flying ahead. And running right alongside him in the storm were these massive wolves. Just the embodiment of pure, raw, natural chaos. Now, over in Norway, this ghostly army had a name, the Oscoria. And what's really interesting is that this group didn't just include the bad guys. It also included marginalized spirits, people who died violently, or women who died in childbirth. The myth actually gave these souls a place to belong, a home inside the gods' eternal ride. Okay, so just when we think we've got our main suspect figured out, the case file takes this wild turn. Turns out, something very similar was happening clear across the continent. And this brings up a huge question, right? Was a sky full of ghostly riders just a Norse thing? Or was this a fear that was echoing in other cultures too? Well, the evidence points to a resounding no, because across a totally different horizon, under the moonlight, the Roman goddess Diana is leading her own roaring chase of spirits right through the night sky. So here's the crucial point. You have two very different cultures that came up with a strikingly similar myth. For both of them, these hunts were this terrifying symbol of the wild, untamable parts of nature. It was like a bridge between our world and the supernatural. So how do these two spectral hunts stack up against each other? Let's put our two leaders, Odin and Diana, side by side and see what's what. So while they're both leading a ghostly hunt, their jobs are actually pretty different. Odin is what's called a psychopomp, basically a shamanic guide for the dead. Diana, though, well, her role evolved over time, especially in medieval folklore, into a leader of witches and forest spirits. I mean, her group was even called the Society of Diana. That name alone tells you a lot. It sounds less like an army of the damned and more like a spiritual gathering, right? Like a coven of her followers. This is such a fascinating transformation for this goddess. She goes from being this classical, chaste huntress from Roman myths to this terrifying medieval queen of witches and magic. She was even known as Trivia, the goddess of the crossroads. The place where magic and the undead meet up under her command. Okay, we've covered the who and the what, but now we get to maybe the most important question in this whole case file. Why? I mean, why did these myths even exist in the first place? Well, all the evidence suggests the hunt was way more than just a spooky story. It was actually a tool for enforcing social rules. It took a community's moral code and, well, projected it onto the night sky for everyone to see. You see, these stories gave people a way to deal with things. They helped communities process all these deep anxieties, the trauma of someone dying suddenly, the fear of nature. And by being told that your actions on Earth could land you a spot in this divine chase, well, it was a pretty powerful reminder of your duties. It turned the chaos of life into a lesson. All right, in our final act, let's look at the legacy of this myth and think about why this case file, in a way, is still wide open. I mean, those images of the one-eyed rider and the lunar queen, they're still incredibly powerful symbols, aren't they? They tap into some of our deepest, most primal fears about the unknown, about chaos, and about what comes next. And that's really the heart of it. These ghostly chases are this powerful reminder that the line between our world and the next is, well, it's thin. And sometimes, when that winter wind howls just right, you can almost hear something crossing over. And that leaves us with one last thought. The Wild Hunt is proof of how our ancestors struggled to make sense of a really chaotic world. It kind of makes you wonder, if these myths are reflections of the fears from the past, what do the shadows in our own modern sky say about us?